Jai Shri Radhe. Day 75, Varta 54. In the reading of the biographies of the 252 Vaishnav disciples of Sri Gosaiji. Aaj ke Anand ki jai ho. Jai Shri Krishna Sab Vaishnav Nako. Jai Shri Radhe. Varta 54, the story of one Kunnabhi Patel who lived in Gujarat. This is a devotee of Sattvic disposition. In the eternal Leela, the name is Anguri, who manifests from Mana Aturi and is thus a form of her divine loving sentiment. Part 1. Once Sri Gosaiji had travelled to Dwarka to have the darshan of Sri Ranchorlalji. It was on this journey that this Kunnabhi Patel had been initiated as a disciple. It had been a long time since he had had the sight of Sri Gosaiji, so he decided that he should go to Gokul, but he was penniless. Once, a group of Vaishnavas set off from Gujarat to Vraja for the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji and Sri Gosaiji. Lots of quite wealthy individuals were in that group. Patel went along with them. He earned his keep by serving one of them, but then he was sacked from that job. He decided that he would not return home until he had had the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji and Sri Gosaiji, as he might never get another chance. So having thus made up his mind, he continued with the camp. When there were only 2 camps left before arriving at Sri Natadwara, he came down with a fever. He managed to get forward one more camp with great difficulty. When there was just one more stretch to go, he addressed the other Vaishnavas. "Oh, brothers, please will one of you let me ride on a cart, so that with your kindness I might be able to have the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji." However, they were all rich individuals, and in the pride of their wealth, which rendered them selfish and dumb, none of them listened to him. After he had asked everybody, he just sat down quietly. In the middle of the night he thought to himself, "My body is in this condition. How will I ever get to have the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji tomorrow?" His heart was burning. Sri Govardhanaji was himself unable to tolerate Patel's suffering, and he went to Sri Gosaiji and told him. He said, "In a certain village there is a group of Vaishnavas. Please send your chariot there right now. Let the other Vaishnavas have my sight in the evening at the arati time just once, but tell the chariot driver to pick up Patel and no one else." Having said this, Srinathji went back to his temple. Sri Gosaiji arose and saw the time, and then, a couple of hours before sunrise, Sri Gosaiji sent his driver out after instructing him carefully, "Bring only Patel here first." The driver set off in haste and reached the camp at sunrise. All the group were cleaning their teeth. The driver asked them where Patel was. They were all astonished to see the driver and pondered, "Oh, brothers, Sri Gosaiji must have greatly graced Patel that he sent his own personal chariot to pick him up. We should have sat him in our cart when he asked. He had come with us, but none of us paid him any attention. If he says anything about us to Sri Gosaiji, then he will be very angry with us. Now we should take him with us in our vehicle." All of the group members began to think like this. Then Sri Gosaiji's driver called out to Patel, who got up and came over to him. The driver told him to sit in the chariot quickly so as not to be late. "Sri Gosaiji is calling you to come soon. This is why he has sent his personal chariot for you. It took me about an hour and a half to get here, so you will have the Lord's sight well before anyone else in the group. Please now get on the chariot." Realizing just how much grace Sri Gosaiji was showering upon him, every hair on Patel's body stood on end. He bowed down to the chariot before getting up onto it. It set off straight away. The rest of the group just stood there watching as they were washing their faces. The chariot with Patel in it moved as fast as the wind and reached Sri Govardhanaji's temple as the Lord was getting dressed. The driver sent news to Sri Gosaiji that Patel was on the doorstep. Sri Gosaiji and Srinathji were both very happy and smiled. Sri Govardhanaji said, "Let him come to see me right now." Sri Gosaiji said, "This is a bit irregular, but if this is your wish, then I will do whatever you say." When he heard this, Srinathji kept quiet. Bhav Prakash. Sri Govardhanaji had not yet granted Patel the grace of devotion in the mood of a friend of his, Sakya Bhav. Without this status as the Lord's friend, no one gets to have his holy sight whilst he is getting dressed. Their part 1 continued thereafter before anyone else had the Lord's holy sight that day. First of all, Patel did so when the Lord had been dressed. Soon the doors of the temple opened for the darshan period called Shringar, to view the Lord's ornamentation. Having thus had the Lord's holy sight, Patel was in a state of bliss. Shri Gosaiji then made the Gopi Vallabh Bhog, mid-morning snack offered in the mood of the gopis, offering, and then came outside. He called Patel over to him. Patel bowed down to him and then stood in front of him. With the Lord's grace, Patel's mind and heart were totally immersed in bliss. He stood there looking stunned and was unable to move. Only the faintest trace of life force remained in his body. Shri Gosaiji saw his condition and called Ramdasji the priest and told him to bring a jug of water that had been touched by the Lord's feet to him. Ramdasji touched a jug of water with the Lord's feet and brought it out to Shri Gosaiji, who took it in his hands and sprinkled it over Patel whilst reciting the 8-syllable mantra of refuge. Patel regained consciousness. Bhav Prakash. This story teaches that the Lord's feet are the form of cooling, pacifying devotion. With the contact of such water touched by the Lord's feet, it is possible to come back to health. The 8-syllable mantra grants the mood of exclusive refuge in the Lord that brings stability to the heart. With these two, the water and the mantra, Patel regained full health. Otherwise he might have dropped his mortal coils if he had not been able to withstand the flood of bliss that he was experiencing. Part 1 continued. Shri Gosaiji then asked him, "O Patel, where had you gone?" Patel humbly supplicated, "O Maharaj, the Lord was putting on his turban and I was assisting him. I saw the Lord more beautiful than a billion cupids. He graced me with such a vision." Hearing this, Shri Gosaiji was very happy. Shri Gosaiji then told the gatekeeper of the Lion Gate that a group would be coming from Gujarat and that none of them should be allowed to step on Sri Giriraji. The group arrived at the time of Raj Bhog. They wanted to climb Sri Giriraji to have the Lord's holy sight, but the gatekeeper did not permit them such access. They began to discuss amongst themselves that this was probably because of what Patel had told Shri Gosaiji. Some time after, Patel said to Shri Gosaiji that the group had arrived there but had not been allowed to enter the temple. Shri Gosaiji did not say anything. It was the time for Raj Bhog Arti, and those Vaishnavas had still not had the Lord's holy sight. Having settled the Lord down for his afternoon rest, Shri Gosaiji came down from Sri Giriraji and went to sit in his betak. All the Vaishnavas came there and said, "O Maharaj, what offence have we committed that we have not been granted the holy sight of Sri Govardhanaji?" Shri Gosaiji kept quiet. After an hour or so, the group again asked him to tell them of their offence. This time Shri Gosaiji spoke up. "You all know very well what offence you have committed. Why are you asking me? You are all blinded by your pride of wealth. However, Sri Govardhanaji is compassionate and will allow you to have his holy sight, but only once at the evening arti. Do not come here in the morning hoping to do it again. Since you arrived, Patel has asked me twice on your behalf, but it is not up to me. The Lord himself commanded me thus, and so you did not get to have his holy sight." When the Vaishnavas heard that this had been the direct instruction from the Lord himself, they all began to curse themselves and their actions. Shri Gosaiji proceeded to take his prasad. The Vaishnavas pleaded with Patel to request on their behalf that they might be allowed to have the Lord's holy sight after some days. Patel agreed to do so. He is the Lord himself, so he should consent. So we're taking a pause here in this Varta until tomorrow. सब वैष्णवों को जय श्री कृष्ण। आज के आनंद की जय। जय जय श्री राधे।